Hey, guys are here with Total Geek Live, bringing you
Stuff?
another 19XX. I'm here with Baltimore,
Have to think about
Guy,
that.
and Danny, and we are dying with
Say it.
anticipation to bring you
He's
this
speechless.
episode where we are going to go all up in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
So before we just start time warping all over the place, we're gonna pull up the trailer, kind of get refreshed with all the iconic imagery and characters, and then we're gonna dive in with some random facts, some memories, and well, you just sit right there. All right, I'm queuing up the trailer, and I am going to press it now.
And they don't waste time starting this thing.
Nope,
No.
right in.
I didn't.
You know what you've gotten into. Here it is.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And just in case you didn't know,
is
you were watching.
wonderfully weird.
Yeah.
Spoiler
Oh, that
alert.
laser gun.
Yeah.
They're probably foreigners with ways different than our own.
It's fabulously freaky.
Great outfits.
Oh,
Yeah, they're wasting no time making sure you see the end of this.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the best nights.
The Rocky
Pennywise has changed somehow. I can't quite put my finger on it. Pennywise is just kind of let loose.
Horror story
Good
is
for him.
strange.
I wonder if they all float down there.
Oh, it's floating.
Oh, there it
The
is.
songs are super.
Yeah, the lips in the girl's voice and not the scene voice
The
is
scenery
weird.
is smashing.
Isn't it? That's what I'm talking about. This trailer is really
The
strange.
cast is completely crazy.
It sounds like one of those late night phone line
Is
things.
that supposed to be Magenta's lips?
Probably.
I think so.
There's a mad scientist named Frank N. Furter.
Come up
Uh-huh.
to the lab and
Oh.
see what's on the
Oh,
slab.
slab.
Look, big
Oh,
eyes.
that's side-eye.
And Rocky, his incredible creature.
It's great. This-
Yeah.
It was a bad crowd, but it was worse than I imagined.
A sinister servant named Riffraff.
Aw.
Brad and Janet.
My name's Brad Majors.
Just a couple of
Asshole.
clean-cut
This is my fiance, Janet.
Ew. Nice.
Eddie.
What a lovely voice.
Yay, Eddie.
Meatloaf!
He sounded condescending when he said that.
It's
Magenta.
couscous.
Columbia. Dr. Scott.
Dr. Scott!
Wait, Scott.
So give yourself over to absolute pleasure.
Will kill you. There are other plot points in this film outside of the ending.
I know.
Right.
It's like
But not by watching this.
Other
No.
things happen in this movie besides the ending.
I know. What is that? Is so
Wow.
odd. I waited to
So-
watch this with all of you, and I'm like, that is just the ending.
When I told you this trailer is super weird, this trailer is super weird, right?
It's
Right.
I-
You
I
don't
don't-
get any of the buildup of like how did Brad and Janet get there?
Yeah. Well,
You know-
That light was
Find
like
out.
the Frankenstein place. That's how they got there.
Right.
God, we got a whole soundtrack, Danny.
You mean there's more songs than the Time Warp?
I know,
I
right?
can't confirm or deny that. It's like many other conversation topics this evening.
Yeah. But a weird, weird trailer, and
Yeah.
I'm glad I actually saw the movie before I saw this trailer.
Right.
Yeah, because
I really don't know.
Yeah, would that have sold you
Absolutely
as a
not.
moviegoer? It's like, oh yeah, that's something I have to go see that.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
it's
and
kind of
maybe
a
that
what did I
led to
just
some
watch?
of the box office, bombing, weird, weirdness. I don't know.
Yeah, that trailer's like, what did I just watch? I mean, could you imagine like a layman, like let's just imagine like somebody who doesn't know what Rocky Horror Picture Show is, and you show them this trailer. I mean, what do you take away from this?
I think that they probably showed so much of the ending in it because they didn't think people would sit through it all.
Right.
I
to
guess.
get to
They
the
have. They were just like, well, we might as well show a little bit of it and just to get it out there.
By a
Yeah.
little bit, all of it.
right.
I mean, I wonder if, I don't have any real, evidence for it, but I wonder if this is sort of evocative of the science fiction films that the creator watched. Like maybe that was kind of his motif. Like this weird ending of it is what he saw in a lot of the trailers for the science fiction films. Maybe that's
And
could be.
maybe they were trying to sell it to the sci-fi crowd,
Yeah.
and because the rest of it there really wasn't a precedence for
Yeah.
a sweet transvestite from Transylvania seducing wayward travelers,
Mm.
Um,
Newly engaged couple.
yeah. Brad and Janet. Damn it,
Hey.
Janet.
Damn it, Janet.
Janet.
Yes.
I love you.
So
And
it's interesting for a trailer, and I don't know how much money box office wise it made. Did any of y'all research that?
I didn't see that when I was coming.
Or maybe they don't even know. They don't have the receipts to count it. But it is interesting that since it's been out, and there's been a huge resurgence recently, but midnight showings has been a thing.
Yeah.
For this, because this is kind of, from what I can remember. I mean, I can't even think about another movie before this that was really a cult classic.
not like this level.
This kind of started that whole idea of cult classic thing, and so the midnight showings really have stepped up and even evolved over even the past 20 years.
Yeah.
With just the amount of how many people 20 years ago when you would go to a midnight showing, the live cast of people would be dressed up. Now, man, moviegoers who are going there will dress up in cosplay just to create that. But that wasn't happening 20 years ago.
Have you?
They would interact and all that kind of stuff, but
Andy.
not.
It did happen, but not to the extent that it does now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I would say. I would say, not to the extent that it is now.
Have you guys? Have any of you been to a live?
Yeah, I have.
Same
I have.
here.
Yep.
It was a very. Have you been more than once or just the once?
I've been once. I went to the New Art Theater in Los Angeles. A couple of my friends of mine were performing in it, and they were doing like some of the Shadowcast parts. So they invited me, and I got to see it there, and it was great fun. Of course, I was the virgin. I'd seen it like a million times on like home video.
Right.
And that's actually where I first saw it. But then that was my first time in theater, and of course, I
Right.
only got a little bit of crap about that, but it was fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's a ritual for the people that have never been to a live, presentation or midnight showing or whatever you want to do with that, and it's always fun to participate in that.
yeah, I'll never forget being put down on my knees and one of the actresses, I believe it was Magenta, put her in her cleavage and then wrote a V on my forehead.
That's amazing.
And then we ended up hanging out. I was there on a date, but like afterwards I hung out with the cast that was doing the sing along and stuff, and there were some interesting people.
Well, yeah. Where did you see it?
I saw it in Dallas, somewhere.
me too.
Yeah, there's a couple of theaters in the Dallas Fort Worth area
Yeah.
that will show it. I know one's at Garland. Even the I want to say the Angelica Theater off of Inwood or something. Sometimes they will do it.
Oh, cool.
But there's a
Yeah.
couple of different ones.
Yeah.
There were a couple places in Las Vegas as well, at least two that I knew of that did midnight screenings.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But I think this started life as a musical,
Mhm.
as a play with music in London, and sorry, I was having a lot of thoughts in my head.
It's like a musical, a play with music. Is that what that is?
A musical play.
Yeah.
A playsicle.
No, so this started in 1973, and Richard O'Brien is the creator of, wrote the music, the plot, and everything. He actually plays Riff Raff in this movie. Tim Curry was also in the stage version. So was Magenta and Columbia. They were all four of them were from the stage version in 1973, and they got to reprise their parts for the movie. But interestingly enough, the producers said that they had to hire Americans for Brad and Janet. Needed some sort of clout to secure funding and everything. So they ended up hiring Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick for those roles. And Mick Jagger had expressed interest in playing Frankenfurter.
Really?
Had expressed interest in playing Eddie. So those are some really interesting what if castings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Elvis as Eddie?
Well, I mean, he's Elvis-esque.
Right. He's got the greased hair.
Right, but in the setting, Elvis in this setting.
True.
Yeah.
It has anything but Elvis in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally hear you on that.
Right.
It was funny. I actually met Meatloaf in high school. He actually did a concert at SMU. Well, he wasn't at high school. He wasn't like, hello, fellow kids, and hanging out at in gym or anything like that.
Oh, it was
playing
like
volleyball.
21 Jump Street
Narc!
style.
But he did a concert at SMU, and I was still in high school. I don't. Yeah, he definitely wasn't in high school. But I told him, I said, yeah, I loved you in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he kind of gave us look like he's.
kid.
Yeah, it's like, thanks. Sort of thing.
Yeah. I remember another thing when they were talking about is in the stage version, Eddie and Dr. Scott are played by the same character, and Eddie was Meatloaf was really excited because he wanted to do that, and they ended up not having that happen, and he was kind of disappointed that he was only playing Eddie, but still had he has a really impressive role for that.
Yeah, it's still iconic.
For one song, he really burst in and took over for that one moment.
Yeah.
He's proved he's got acting chops. I mean, even since this, Fight Club is bitch tits. I mean, he was just great in that role.
And
Dare
he was
you
the
forget
bus
Spice World?
Yeah, he was the bus driver in Spice World.
How would you know that, Danny?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I watch
friends.
every movie that Meatloaf is in.
That's
how
awesome.
much of a fan I am.
Way to say it.
He is Meatloaf fan 29 on AOL chat. So if you see him there, that's really Danny.
On ICQ.
And while the London version did pretty well, musical wise, when they brought it over to America, it maybe lasted. I don't even think it lasted 50 performances.
Oh wow!
Wow!
Before the movie, and then Tim Curry was in that version as well here in New York, and so it didn't do very well at all. And I said I saw one of the midnight showings in Dallas. I also saw one here in New York before I went to go see when they actually brought the revival back horror, which was a lot of fun because they took a lot of the elements from the midnight showings, so it was very interactive and it was very kind of very fun and energetic. There's a great energy, and so that was really, really great to see that kind of in a live version. Um, and I think it actually holds up pretty well against the movie version.
Yeah.
With the changes that you would naturally have in the stage version versus movie musical. Um, but this was kind of a really crazy, great, subversive, weird movie, and it's really awesome that it's kind of clung on as it
Yeah.
has. Really kind of made itself its own thing. You can't really kind of make this happen. It just does.
Well, that's just a tribute to the quality of the music and the acting, and I mean, because I've seen a number of just weird, bizarre movies. I've seen Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, and it's like
That's awesome.
it doesn't have the cult following that this has.
No.
It's because it's just a testament. Tim Curry is just he's magical. As I can't think of a better. He is Frankenfurter.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even the film itself, I mean, if you like take away the music and all that, it really does go into a lot of elements of like a classic science fiction and horror story.
Yeah.
It's the classic thing of two normal, innocent, a young couple, their car breaks down. They go to this old creepy castle, which is full of like tons of sexy aliens. And then it's like they have this leader, and you find out everyone in there is aliens, and it's like they go and have this whole party. He's there just simply to have a good time, and then you realize, and I discussed this last year with you, John, when I saw it on Halloween. It's like his whole hedonistic lifestyle, Frankenfurter's whole lifestyle, like destroys the lives of everybody in this film. I mean, everyone is left ruined by the time this whole film wraps up, and because it shows how selfish he is and how just he's there for himself. And even there's like certain little alien elements that really shows something's off, because there's like the dinner party scene. Well, number one, they're eating Eddie. That's totally off. But if you watch like how Riff Raff and Magenta set the table, they're just throwing random plates out. It's almost like kind of like with the It that came out last year. They get the idea of what humans do, but they don't get it. So it's like they're setting plates and tables with weird silverware and weird cups, and nothing matches, and even like their standard behavior. It's just it really kind of shows off that there's more hints that they're alien than you really catch on until you really like see it and really think about it. It's a deeper film than you think.
Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. I think one of the things that makes it one of the things that I think makes Rocky Horror so successful is it has this otherness to it. This, if you don't belong, come with us because you'll belong here.
Right.
So it's attracted this whole underdog, this whole other, this whole I don't fit in anywhere, but here I do. Here people don't look at me weird. Here I'm just one of the others. And I think that's a really great, wonderful element to the movie.
It is, but then you take that message of, it's great, even if you're like an other, there's community for you, but you can take it too far and ruin everybody's life.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And it definitely frees them from like their oppression. I mean, again, innocent Brad and Janet. I mean, Janet's a nympho. I mean, she just wants to basically now that she's gotten the green light to say okay, she's like busy that whole movie. And then even Brad, he's I would never do that. And then sure enough, he goes, he gets busy with Frankenfurter, and Frank makes a reference to that several times where he was probably for that the whole time. And I don't know if you guys ever read like Richard O'Brien's like script treatments for potential sequels. Brad and Janet don't end up well in any of these proposals. They're like Janet's just trashed out, and Brad is normally working in some freaky sex carnival. So,
Wow.
there's some interesting treatments out there.
Wow.
I missed it. Did any of you see the Fox live musical version that they did recently with
Which
Laverne Cox?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I didn't think. For me, I feel if you're going to be singing live and you're going to be doing, something that's so iconic, I feel rather than just getting names, you need to get some talent to back it up. I mean, vocally.
Yeah.
And I think it was lacking in a lot of the choices, and that's happened with. And it's not just Rocky Horror, but it's happened with a lot of the musical movie shows that have been,
Yeah.
produced, Fox, NBC, or whatever, they're doing is they get names because they want, they need to secure funding or selling tickets or whatever it is, and then it's just not successful, you know. Um, but there were some really good elements to it. I saw, some of the clips from it.
Yeah, I noticed they haven't jumped on another live musical yet. After
No.
that, because
Yeah.
there was what they did Grease and then Peter.
Well, you have Fox,
Hairspray.
you have Fox
Hairspray.
and
Sound of Music.
And so NBC usually does the more wholesome type ones, and Fox is a little more edgy kind of, you know. So yeah, I don't know what's next going on.
Now, the reason why I didn't watch it is because this is such a cult classic. I don't see why you need to even kind of redo it, reinvent it, or all that for TV or movie. Stage, I'm completely down with.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
been fine if they would have done if they do a stage production, and whether it be on Broadway or whatever, and all that, or even tour it or something like that. I would have been fine with. But when I found out about it being on Fox, I was just like, nah, I'm not interested. I'll just rewatch the original.
Which you can still do in theaters.
Right.
There's no.
I-
It's never left theaters in 40 years.
No, that's the amazing thing is that generation after generation after generation are getting to enjoy the whole Rocky Horror Show experience,
Mm.
and I just find that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Well, the tribute version they did with Eric McCormick as Frankenfurter, I actually enjoyed that much better. And I think it was a whole event surrounded by tributes to the film and everything. So I think there was a lot more care kind of taken into the project.
Right.
So that one actually I would recommend, if you have a moment to take a watch of some of those. But yeah, the one that just happened, I wasn't, too keen on.
Because the songs are such an integral part of it. If they're not done right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
The
think.
things,
Go ahead.
sorry, one of the things that was interesting to me when I was looking at this is, you have this version or the 25th anniversary DVD that came out.
Mhm.
And while I was really grateful to get it and I enjoy it, I found out that none of the cast gets royalties from DVD sales at all.
wow.
Oh,
Well, that happens more than
And
you
for that
know.
reason,
Yeah.
Susan Sarandon doesn't talk about this project at all
Who
anymore.
doesn't?
Susan Sarandon.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they made millions off of this, and to not get any sharing to the cast is pretty abysmal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, really sad.
And that's one of those properties that made its money after the theatrical run.
Yep.
It wasn't the huge blockbuster in theaters. It was a groundswell and word of mouth, and now it's a cultural event.
Yeah.
That's horrible that
Yeah.
they're not getting
Yeah.
any of the proceeds.
So here's a question: If Rocky Horror Picture Show has been running for pretty much consecutively 40 years, could it be considered the highest grossing film ever? I don't see how anything could beat it. I mean, 40 years, multiple showings around the country, nonstop.
But are those private events? I mean, do the studios get a penny from
They have-
those?
Because you're using the print.
licensing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to know
Yeah.
how much money they've actually made off of that film.
Guy, you should follow up and do some research into that. That'd be
I
very
will.
interesting tidbit to know.
I will super sleuth the hell out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're all big lovers of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, I wish we could just play the time warp and just sit here and dance to it. But I'm sure we'll get flagged if we tried that.
But it's just a step to the left.
Really?
And then a jump to the right.
Do you put your hand on your hips like this?
You can bring your knee in tight.
But
Oh.
it's the pelvic thrust.
That
That was the saddest chair dance ever.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us as we trip down their totally 19XX Rainbow Road of memory goodness.
Rocky Horror Mario Kart 64.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Guy, Baltimore, Danny. I love having these chats with you guys talking about this stuff. It's amazing. And to all of you, as we always say, it's all geek to us. Bye.
Except for that one time, but we don't talk about that.
We'll never talk about that.
That was freaking
Damn it.
We'll leave that on the back burner.
Damn it, Janet. All right.
I love you.
Bye.
I see you've been practicing those laughs I worked on for you.
Yes.
Should we have all worn red lipstick for this? Did we miss out?
Oh, do we gotta do this again? My people think I wear lipstick naturally. I just got these big red lips.
That's what she said.